I'm going to tie a size 16 pregnant Adams dryfly. I have Adams gray thread that I'm going to start on the hook. I have some brown grizzly and dun feathers that I'm going to use for the tail fibers. What you want to do is you're going to come in and grab some decently long feather fibers out of each of the groups. You want them to match. You're going to match them up and lay them in for the tails. I'm going to take these fibers and stroke them forward so they're sticking up, and get a quick measurement to see which ones line up. You can see the dun are a little bit longer, and you want to put them over top of each other so you can see where they're at. And you can come in here and take a pinch off of both feathers and pinch them together. And right off the bat, I can see I have more dun than brown, so I'm going to pick up my brown and take a couple more brown off. I just did a loose wrap over it to help hold everything in, hold everything down while I'm grabbing more fibers. And then I'm going to give them a spin to help block all those fibers in different places. Now I got a pinch of dun and brown tails. Then I'm going to come in here and do a quick measurement to see how long I want the tails. And the dun are actually longer, so I'm going to relay those together so that they're all about the same length. Start with a loose wrap and then do a couple tight wraps and take a look and see where they're laying. And I'm liking that, so I'm going to wrap that back down the shank of the hook, and I'm going to do one wrap underneath to help hold these fibers straight up in the air, get them straight back. I'm going to wrap this all up and wrap back. Because it's a pregnant scud, or a pregnant Adams, I'm going to take a little bit of yellow dubbing. That's a big pinch, but just take a little bit out of your pinch. Put that relatively tight onto your thread. You just want a little ball. Make it look like an egg sac. You can wrap that back to your tails. Just do a nice little ball. Put the rest of that yellow back. And then you want to take some Adams gray. I have UV dry dubbing. It's really small, fine dubbing that you can get in here and coat the fly with. You want a nice transaction between the egg sac and the abdomen of the fly you're tying. You can work it back and forth get a nice taper going up the abdomen towards the wings. Now you're getting close to where the abdomen stops. You can build that up fairly thick. I'm going to put a little bit more on there. It got pinched at the end. Just add small amounts at a time. There, now I have a nice tapered abdomen. I can come in with some polypropylene. It's a nice floatant. Come in here and cut out just a little bit. Polypropylene is pretty thick. You can see it's almost as thick as the body of the fly. So what you want to do is you want to separate it into a half. Put it right down the middle and just pull all these fibers apart. Lay the clump to the side you don't want to use. You can save it for the next fly you go to tie. You can lay that right on top and do some nice tight wraps. Not too many because you do want to fold this straight up. So now I'm going to wrap around them to hold them together. Kind of tricky, you gotta do some loose wraps and then come back down to the hook and do some cross wraps in front of it and behind it, and you can go back around it. You want to build up a little bit of a post. Get that coming up off your fly a little bit. That post will help you make a parachute for your dry fly hackle. You do some wraps behind it and then jump ahead in front of it. You can see I have about a hook gap, a loop gap between where my thread is, and that'll give me room to work so I can get in there at the end of this fly and tie it off. Now you're ready to work hackle up the post. I already have some grizzly and dun sized, but I also want a little bit of brown in there, so I'm gonna have to size a brown grizzly as well. I'm gonna come back in here and find a feather that looks close. Sometimes it's tricky with a bugger pack. There's not that many small feathers on the bugger packs. Relatively bigger feathers. I got one here that's pretty close. There's a lot more white than brown, so if the brown's a little bit bigger, that's okay. So what I'm doing is I'm stripping away some of the fibers to have a tie-in point. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to tie this in facing down. I'm going to do a couple wraps just to hold that fiber in there. I'm going to take my grizzly and do the same thing. I'm going to strip away a couple of the fibers to get a tie-in spot. And then I'm going to lay this fiber exactly the same way as that one on top of it. And do a couple more wraps just to hold that one in. I'm going to take my dun, do the same thing, make a little tie-in spot. I'm going to lay that feather the same exact way. You want all the fibers, the natural curve of all the fibers facing one direction. You can do some nice tight wraps over it all. Now you're going to want to take a little bit more of your Adams gray dubbing, build up your thorax. I'm going to do some nice big wraps to build this up real nice and come in front of your post and wrap. And then you do a couple figure 8 wraps over it all to help keep it nice and durable. Just do a little bit more dubbing. Make sure you keep room between your hook eye. And I'm going to do a little bit more gray. Work that up towards the front a little bit more. I can still see some shininess of the hook. I'll try and get rid of that. I'm going to come right behind the hook eye, do a couple of nice tight wraps, and I'm going to whip finish that off. To make it more durable. And that's tied off. Now you want to take the smallest amount of gray just to cover your thread while you work back to the post. I'm going to do one wrap over my whip finish and then work it back to the post. I'm going to do some nice tight wraps around my post just to secure that in. Now you can take all 3 of these feathers and work them around your post. Going up just above the thread. And then you have to work it back down. I lost my brown here. Gonna work my brown back through and get it caught up. Now I can take this and work underneath of all those hackle feathers. Lay some nice tight wraps and go underneath of your feathers, your ends of your feathers. And at this point, you can come in and do a vertical whip finish on this parachute pregnant Adams. Make sure you get underneath all those fibers, and you can pull your whip finish out and give it a nice snug tug. And you can come in, cut your thread out, and cut these feathers out as close as you can to the post that you made, and save these feathers. There's still enough there to tie another fly with. And then I'm going to bend my post back to the tail and cut it off right where the tail starts. I missed a couple. And that post will act as wings, but you can also see that fairly good on the water. And you can come in with your glue or nail polish and make sure you get right on the post. That'll keep that post nice and durable. Right on top of that abdomen. And there you have a pregnant parachute Adams in size 14. The females are relatively bigger than the males, so you want to tie this in a bigger size. This will imitate the Adams flying over the water and dropping their eggs off, and sometimes they'll get caught on the film and won't be able to escape the film, and she'll be trapped in the water. So here's a size 14 Adams dryfly.